Happy Sunday, everybody. Football fans, as we're getting ready to count down for Super Bowl 59, which will be on today at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be the 11th Super Bowl being carried on Fox Sports this evening, as we'll finally get to see will the Chiefs become the first team in the Super Bowl era to three-peat in NFL history. Now, the Packers, respectively, have done it twice in the history of the NFL. Once in the league championship years. I want to say that was under Curly Lambeau, but then the last under Vince Lombardi, where he won the very last league championship plus the first two Super Bowls. So technically, right there, the Packers are the only ones that could say they could repeat. But then the Bills, too, made it four times in a row, despite losing all four of them. But their closest one, reasonably, you could argue, was Super Bowl 25. If you want to make a technicality for Super Bowl uh, 28, I guess you can. But then remember, they got outscored mercifully in that Super Bowl, where Emmitt Smith went on to win his Super Bowl MVP that year. Remember how that worked out? Who guy who actually sat out in training camp, was not given a new contract by Jerry Jones, refusing to make him the highest paid. Barry Sanders did. Guess what happened? They showed out. And the Dallas Cowboys in that Super Bowl, Super Bowl 28, back in Atlanta for that one, which proved to be Jimmy Johnson's swan song before him and Jerry Jones parted ways with the organization. Remember what happened in that game? The Buffalo Bills were up in that game, 13-6, only to get shut out 24-0 in the second half. So once again, they were hard to be shared once again, but technically they were the last team to make it to three straight in a row, but losing all four. So here we go right now. A lot of interesting stuff real quick. I want to recap what happened this past Thursday night. We saw the NFL honors ceremony. Snoop Doggy Dogg. Oh, yeah. In the house. D-O-double-G. I thought he did great. Pretty impressive for the award ceremony. Nice to have him out there uh, for all the honors coming out. I mean, such as like the league MVP and the Pro Football Class Hall of Fame and everything. And I gotta say, it was definitely they definitely do know how to like entertain their sport despite the controversies we may see in game. But let's go ahead and get started with that real quickly. We're gonna definitely mix in a little bit of Steelers thoughts real quick, some news real quick, possibly like who they're going to decide between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. But once again, the elephant that's still in the room too as well, the wide receiver room. How are they going to find a way to get a second receiver going? So that is still not off the table just yet. We got some scenarios we could pay across there. But once again, if you guys want to follow me on social media, you can definitely do so. You can follow me on X at MetaSteelCGR and on Instagram at MetaSteelNation. But let's go ahead and begin with the NFL honors ceremony. Josh Allen made history in his career. He won his first league MVP, which was given to him. I had Lamar Jackson winning that one, but Josh Allen, who's definitely was on a second All Pro team this year. Remember, it was Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff. They got the honors for the first team All Pros for the NFC and AFC. But anyway, I mean, Josh Allen, you look at like what he's done. I mean, even towards the end of last year, and I was saying to many people too, I think one of the biggest reasons why he edged out Lamar Jackson, he had to do more with less. If you really think about it, I mean, this was like towards the end of last year where he was still dealing with Stephon Diggs and they're transitioning away from him. There was a lot of messed up chemistry right there. Diggs was not too happy. They traded him away. And you look at what happened too. I mean, right now, I mean, this year was definitely arguably one of Josh Allen's best yet touchdown interception ratios to date. I mean, he had 28 touchdowns, only six picks, the lowest amount of turnovers he ever made, having the ball being intercepted. Plus, too, when you really look at it, I mean, his QBR too was at an all-time high this year at 77.3. and he was definitely taking lesser sacks too, and definitely a guy who's well deserved. I mean, an exciting player to watch right there. I mean, he did lose to Lamar Jackson head to head Sunday Night Football, and then beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs late Sunday afternoon game earlier this season. But remember, we did see him beat Josh Allen. I mean, excuse me, beat Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, the Ravens divisional round, where they came this close to like actually tying up the game, if not for Mark Andrews dropping a sure 2 point conversion to like keep the game going. But they would ultimately be outdone by the Kansas City Chiefs, just like their Super Bowls, 0 for 4 versus Chiefs. And a lot of people were, I guess, would feel like that, the voters, that's what's influenced voting. But remember, a lot of these votes are done during the end of the regular season, too, when these are usually submitted, such as like Defensive Player of the Year. So I really just want to hear your thoughts real quick. Did you guys feel like Lamar Jackson got robbed of this one, or do you say well deserved for like Josh Allen? I think definitely well deserved for Josh Allen. I have no issue with it. I think this guy who definitely paid his dues real quick here. But when you also look at it too, Josh Allen, who definitely just did a lot with less. I feel like was just more impressive. He was eighth in touchdowns. Lamar Jackson had 13 more than he did. But Lamar Jackson too, he also had lesser interceptions, so two less picks right there, which I thought was just very interesting right there. Uh, and and that definitely when I was watching towards the end of last season, I really would have thought like Joe Burrow like deservedly so had a chance to like make his case for league MVP if they would got the Bengals into the playoffs. They handled their business down the stretch, even though they needed to get help along the way. But I mean, those final 2 weeks, especially that last month where they beat the Broncos right there, had to make them sweat out to see if they can make it into the playoffs. They would have lost and in that final week, Bengals would have been in the playoffs right there instead of the Broncos. But here we go right now. So I'm not going to buy too much. I don't really say it's too much of a conspiracy theory. But at the same time, too, when you look at, like what Josh Allen, I think, had around, I think that was just more all the difference in the world right there. Voters look at. It was just definitely a, a season that was just that was almost going like a big time downhill slump, and they were able to find a way to turn around to win their fourth straight division title, win a playoff game versus Steelers, have Kansas City in their backyard, only lose to them, then to come back and to what they did too. The Bills, when they made the Stephon Diggs trade, they received a 2025 second round pick through the Vikings in exchange for Diggs and a 2024 sixth round pick. So they traded him for a 2025 draft pick. Still, it was just and just to just double down. Sean McDermott just not losing hope. Just trying to keep this team on track though. They really believe they still. Their time is not up just yet. And Josh Allen too, who actually wins his MVP. He wins it at the age of 28. Who's been around in this league for 7 seasons. I wanted to say just congratulations, well deserved. I thought it should be Lamar Jackson, but you know what? At the end of the day, too, to like win and out edge someone for your first and not the other one not getting their third. I thought that was pretty impressive right there. Anyway, too, other awards ceremony too. I thought like for defensive player of the year. Listen, and for anyone right now, like TJ Watt, I wanted to say right now, the conspiracy theories right now, you can't really, they're not valid for this year. You can't really say. I think right now, I mean, he didn't really deserve it that much. You could probably argue definitely in 2020 and maybe last year, but I was, but you know what? I really stand by with Miles Garrett. I think he was well deserved last year. But as far as like for defensive player of the year, Patrick Surtain right there. I mean, who also did a good job. I mean, this year for the Broncos. I mean, a huge part. I mean, Sean Payton implemented his defense while building a quarterback too. I mean, Patrick Surtain right here was like a decent shutdown quarterback. I mean, for the Broncos. I mean, definitely you saw like the speed, the confidence they were playing with at times, especially in the game Monday night versus Browns. But I mean, Patrick Surtain, uh, really, I felt pretty good. And I mean, he is just definitely like a guy who continues to go work right quick here and makes stuff happen. I mean, under Sean Payton. So, I mean, I really thought it was going to be the Bengals player who I had in Trey Hendrickson, who led the league with sacks. But I mean, Sertan right there, too. I mean, look, he is a guy right here who definitely helped it's like a tone setter for that defense in here. And I mean, the Broncos did under their second year with Sean Payton paid dividends. They put their stamp making the playoffs. I just felt like it was just a real good season right there for them, despite having to lose in the Buffalo Bills. I mean, really, we're not going to go past them. But I mean, well deserved right there for him. I was just surprised it wasn't Hendrickson because of the sacks, but sacks don't necessarily tell all the story in the world right there when it comes to like look at a player right there. I mean, Patrick Surtain, who just a corner real quick here. He had only about four interceptions this year, one pick six, and he had about 11 pass deflections too. So I mean, pretty solid right there. And TJ Watt just nowhere near like the same player he was. I mean, the last couple of years, I would definitely argue that. I mean, his slow decline was happening towards like last year. I mean, in some spurts. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, this season he did earn his 100 sacks in his career, and he still finished. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, TJ Watt still finishes ninth in sacks. I mean, I really start to wonder, like, since the injury, too, he had to be closed out for the season. He had 19 sacks a year ago, 11 and a half this year. I mean, still, I mean, making forced fumbles, shoot, he's finding other ways to impact the game, but just not recognizable to elevate the defense. Then for coach of the year, too, I mean, Kevin O'Connell right there. Not really too much of a surprise there. I had Dan Quinn. I thought Dan Quinn just, what he was doing with Washington. I mean, coming out of the post Dan Snyder area, their second year under Josh Harris and Matt Johnson with the ownership group with the inheriting the Washington Commanders right there. And there was still discussion on the table a year ago they're going to rechange the name for the Commanders, but who knows? It may just keep it right now. Maybe a winner for them. Why change at this point when you're having team success that's translating right there in front of your eyes? I think for anything right now, I just thought Dan Quinn right there, when you come into an organization that was just labeled toxic for a while, I mean, for like a quarter century by an owner who let a lot of stuff go on there in the organization, harassment with staffers, whatever, and pretty much disgrace this franchise. But I mean, just to come under here and work with a first year rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels, and then not only to make the playoffs, but getting back to the NFC Conference Championship game for the first time since the '91 season, which, by the way, was the last time Washington won a Super Bowl, which they were known as the Washington Redskins. So I had that, but then again, when you look at what Kevin O'Connell was able to do, I mean, with Sam Darnold of all people, a guy who really was saying like, I see ghosts on the field. I mean, this guy right here, I mean, Sam Darnold, I mean, you figure this guy was like washed up uh and was like done. I mean, I mean, Kevin O'Connell right now. The only question is right now. I mean, they're going to probably put the franchise tag on him. It's going to probably be a little bit expensive to keep around. But I mean, an option right there. I was hearing too that he may be going to like the Vegas Raiders with Pete Carroll. I think that was a report by Am Schefter. But right here, I mean, Sam Darnold, talk about a guy who came back from the dead, 35 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. He's never even sniffed that high. His last highest touchdown in his career was 19 when he was with the Jets in the second season. Right here, third overall pick in the first round back in 2018, who spent about 3 seasons with the Jets, didn't work out there, two with the Panthers, and then, of course, is a backup with the San Francisco 49ers, and now here. I mean, just very well deserved. But I really feel like Sam Darnold right now is he going to be like another Geno Smith type of deal right now? I think if anything, I'd stay with the Vikings for right now. And I mean, you're not really too sure like what you're going to get with JJ McCarthy right now of Michigan right here. I mean, who's had to spread his first year hurt on the injury list. I mean, you gotta really ask yourselves very quick here. Can you really trust that he's gonna be ready to go? I mean, for the team that they're looking at, I mean, JJ McCarthy, who came out of Michigan, I mean, national college football champion here, of course, and yeah, I just really wonder why do you break away with a guy like Darnold? I mean, maybe that's just not who is gonna be in the cards, but I will definitely say this. I think, if anything, I mean, if there's any ever little doubts right now with McCarthy sticking around, with the Vikings, I mean, definitely have to consider that for right now. Moving on to other list of awards, quick here. We also had, let's see, AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. Jared Verse, real quick here. I thought he did a good job, real quick, coming out here. I mean, the Rams right here, who look like they may be going on the verge of rebuilding right now. Not really too sure, but I mean, the guy who's drafted the 19th overall in 2024, this year's draft, 2024, excuse me, coming out of Central Columbia, who actually played this season as an outside linebacker, made 4.5 sacks, but I mean, 18 quarterback hits, 6 tackles, real quick. I mean, I think that's pretty damn good, and he makes a Pro Bowl. I mean, and an All Pro. No, just a Pro Bowl in his rookie year and a defensive rookie of the year. I mean, well done right there. Now let's get back to business real quick here, real quick before we get into the Super Bowl. Wide receivers on the market right here. I was looking at David Todd. He was suggesting that the Steelers right now, what they should consider doing here is for this part, he makes a pitch that remake the Steelers wide receiver room. You sign T. Higgins, trade George Pickens to the 49ers for Deebo Samuel, the fourth round pick, and then you extend Deebo 2 years, draft a wide receiver either in the third or fourth round, and Higgins, Samuel, Austin, uh, Roman Wilson, and your rookie right there. That'd be your receiver real quick here. Only thing is, we're not sure what Roman Wilson is going to be doing here. But Am Schefter did also note, though, too, the 49ers have granted Deebo Samuel and his agent, Tory Dandy, permission to find a trade partner for the receiver. Samuel told ESPN. This comes after Samuel asked San Francisco to trade him during the players' exit meetings after this season. Hard conversation to have with Kyle Shanahan because of the relationship that we have. Samuel said, but I got to do what's best. I'm more than thankful for the Niners to give me the opportunity, the quality of a lifetime. But now I think it's best that we find another team. Now, Cooper Kupp. This is one name that Steelers has definitely been catching eyebrows being raised right now. Should the Steelers be able to try and trade for him right now? As Brian Diardo mentioned, that it was announced this past Monday that the Rams plan on trading him. Third round pick back in 2017 had an immediate impact on the Rams. team, where they made the playoffs their first year and they won one out of two Super Bowls. So being the two Super Bowls together, Triple Crown winner in the year that the Rams did win the Super Bowl back in 2021. 145 passes for 1,947 yards and 16 touchdowns in the regular season. Up to go on once again to lead all receivers and catches, receiver yards, and touchdown catches. He was named Super Bowl MVP after catching the game-winning score in the Rams' 23-20 win over the Bengals. Now, he has been hampered, one thing buyer beware, by a pair of hamstring ankle injuries wherever it gets him, especially since winning the Super Bowl. He's only played in 33 out of 51 games. Now, that's one thing, really got to keep an eye on real quick here. What were they trying to trade for him? That is definitely going to be something because honestly, right now, I'm not really too sure about George Pickens sticking around. I think you gotta probably see like try and trade him, see what kind of offers you could get. I mean, you can find a way. I mean, to get like something decent for him, go for it. I mean, George Pickens. I mean, just right now. I mean, it's just got so much promise with him. We can see how he does catching like great balls and just kind of being a little bit distant from the team here. I mean, a guy who's been drafted 52nd overall in the second round, you get like a nice like day two pick in return for him. Go for it. But I mean, I think a first round pick definitely unreasonable, but like second or third round pick for his compensation, I mean, that's just pretty much where you're gonna get. Probably my observation. But I mean, if you got guys like him right now, I mean, what do the Steelers really want to do to improve the situation? Also, too, the quarterback situation. I mean, it's doors still open to resign Russell Wilson. But again, a big if him and Arthur Smith can find a way to hash things out with Mike Tomlin, I mean, dude, why get in the way of something that's working beautifully if you're making changes at the line of scrimmage? I'd rather take that scoring points than being harnessed going run first office. It's just silly. But anyway, here we go. Let's get into Super Bowl 59 right now. And I'm just not sure about Justin Fields being the guy to stick around right now as of yet, but I think it's making more sense for him right now. I personally would still choose Russell Wilson. Let him do his things. Let Russ cook. Heard it here. Super Bowl 59. This would be right now, as we look at it, the Chiefs right now. This would be the fourth quarterback rematch in the Super Bowl era, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, as Mahomes and Hurts will be joining the likes of Eli Manning versus Tom Brady back in Super Bowl 42 and 46, Troy Aikman versus Jim Kelly in Super Bowl 27 and 28, and Terry Bradshaw versus Roger Staubach back in Super Bowl 10 and Super Bowl 13. And each of the previous three instances, the same quarterback has won both games. Now, we also got happy birthday specials right now. We'll see how it works out for them, though. But it'll be definitely a great birthday present for them to endure or to have. For the Eagles, running back Saquon Barkley, who will be turning 28 today, and Eagles defensive back Cooper DeJean, 21 years. 21 years. So now, what are the keys for like an Eagles victory? I mean, right now, how could it spell out? Eagles lost three games this season, two before they got out of September, and the third on a final seconds touchdown against the Washington Commanders, the team they beat 55-23 in the NFC Championship game. Now, the Eagles are built to beat the Chiefs. They seize control of games with Saquon Barkley and a run-oriented offense that help lead the NFL in possession, entire possession margin. With Brooks, Cabina, who covers the Eagles for the Athletic. They haven't turned the ball over yet in the playoffs with Jalen Hurts embracing a more conservative role in the pocket, and they leverage this security against a top-ranked defense that's forced 10 turnovers in three playoff games. If they play their strengths, they'll be up two scores with less than 2 minutes to go. And that's the only time they know Patrick Mahomes can't kill him. Chiefs victory. I was tempted to write only the name of the Chiefs quarterback as my explanation, but Patrick Mahomes and Steve Spagnuolo. The latter is the master of the crunch time blitz, and that's no one seen before. Expect something special from both late in the fourth quarter, but I really believe it's going to be the Chiefs' defense. They're going to find a ways, shut plays down, and I wouldn't be surprised too. I mean, right now, Travis Kelce, who's definitely had like some of a struggle. I mean, right now, I mean the on off coverage with him and Taylor Swift by the media showing up to games or not. I mean, Travis Kelsey, who's definitely had his share of concerns, but still managed to catch 97 receptions off of 133 targets, 823 yards it translated to with three touchdowns this year. Now, I mean, the receiving yards he's caught this year is definitely so far today has been the lowest in his career. I mean, as far as like in the playoffs, I mean, he's still finding a way to show up at the right time, though, catching 9 for 136 with a touchdown. And we'll see how that continues to go. But right now, I mean, you gotta believe he has no plans of like walking away just yet. But for my Super Bowl pick, like I said, I think if anything, I'm a I think it's destiny. I think the Chiefs find a way to pull this off. To me, mainly because of their defense. Just Andy Reid. I just trust Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in tight decisions. I mean, in crunch time. I mean, you're hurt right there. And Patrick Mahomes. How much would a third straight Super Bowl be making him the GOAT as quarterbacks? I'm not going to radio the crowd just yet, but I tell you what, that noise is going to get booming loud. They find a way to repeat the first ever team. So if he, Tom Brady, definitely, of course, you could point to that he's never done. But the fact of the matter remains, Tom Brady did beat Patrick Mahomes in two championship games. AFC Championship game back in 2018, which went to overtime, which the Patriots had possession of the ball the whole time right there. Now, if you really think about that one too, let's just take a moment to like let this sink. Because remember, if you fast forward about like 3 years later, remember, I mean, the Bills who whine so much about like why they get a chance to touch the ball, I mean, from like 3 years ago, set up where we're at today with the both teams get to possess the ball. So I mean, it's really interesting, like how that got set up. But I really think right now, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he definitely, I think he has to match, if not pass Tom Brady with rings. I'm just not sure because that's going to still be a hard sell. Yeah, he three-peat, but at the end of the day, the guy that you want, that you need to beat head to head, you could not do. And when he did meet him in the last Super Bowl, remember, he was already screwed up with no offensive line protection, more particularly his tackle. So he was definitely very vulnerable. The defense destroyed him right there. I think they held him to 9 points back in Super Bowl 55 in Tampa, which the Buccaneers became the first team in history under Brady and BA to win the first ever Super Bowl in their home field. Now, this is during the COVID year. I mean, hardly any fans or presence available, but guess what? It still happened. So I feel like right now, definitely the Chiefs three-peat right now. I mean, he definitely just, like I said, I think he needs three, maybe four more. I mean, at this point, I mean, to like eclipse him. I'll say four. Call me nuts, but that's just me. Whenever you beat someone head to head twice and you haven't done that for Patrick Mahomes' case, I raise my red flag at that. Anyway, that's going to do it for this edition here of Super Bowl 59 coverage of Show Blitz presented by the Man of Steel podcast. Once again, everyone, you can follow me on X at Man of Steel CGR and on Instagram at Man of Steel Nation. As always, leave you. Don't be trolling. Be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Thank you for watching the Man of Steel podcast with your host, Charles Prodigy Richey, here on YouTube. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And for all the latest Man of Steel podcasts, episodes, feel free to download them on Mixcloud, Anchor.fm, and SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts.